Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I am Mike Volkin, and what I'm going to show you today is an automated sales funnel program for consultants, coaches, and freelancers called Pain Point Cycling. Now, if you're just starting with this video, I'm going to have to confess that you're not going to understand much because there's a lot of acronyms here, and even when those acronyms are defined, you still won't know what they are because you didn't start with the video cold to sold. So if you haven't watched the cold to sold program, which explains a lot of this stuff, go ahead and watch that video first and then come back to this video. Now, with that said, this sales funnel is for coaches, freelancers, and consultants to really maximize how many ideal clients and prospects they bring into the funnel, and then how to nurture them as automatically as possible. I've done thousands of iterations of sales funnels throughout my years of experience, and one of the most popular ones that works the best is something I've developed called Pain Point Cycling. So let me walk you through that. Forget about all this stuff right now. It's going to confuse you if you just look at this as a whole, okay? All we're going to do is focus on this box, and we're going to move from left to right. So first of all, the title of this sales funnel is called Pain Point Cycling. There's some acronyms here I'll define as we go along. But the very first step to this entire process is called the UAC, which is the Ubiquitory Ad Coverage, which is a system I've designed to really make sure that everyone can see your ads as long as they meet your ideal criteria. So what you're going to do is you're going to define your ideal client and who you want to work for and what type of work you want to do for them. That is when you start your ubiquitory ad coverage, or UAC. Now, that can include all of these, but not limiting to Facebook ads, Quora ads, Twitter ads, YouTube, something called retargeting, which if you don't know, I'll explain that in a little bit. Native ads, AdWords, there's so much more. So it really depends on where your ideal client is going to be online, and then to make sure you hit them with ads numerous times for them to be able to get into your funnel. Now, with that said, your ideal client could maybe never be on Twitter and maybe never look at native ads, but that's all a part of the ubiquitary ad coverage, is understanding where your ideal client is, their buyer persona, also called their avatar, and where they hang out online. We are assuming that your ideal client can only be brought in through ads. Now, obviously, if you're running a well-respected consulting business or coaching business, most of your business is going to come through referrals, right? But I have developed a system for you to be able to turn on and off with a couple pushes of a button an ad program or several ad programs that if you want to fill up your pipeline a little bit more. So we're going to assume that 100% of your prospects are coming in through ads. Obviously that's not the case, but we're going to be conservative here, okay? So assuming that all of your quote-unquote ideal clients, ideal prospects funnel through these ads, this ubiquitory ad coverage, they see you several times, maybe once, maybe 7 times, who knows? They funnel in through an opt-in page, okay? Now this can be one opt-in page, you can test several opt-in pages, but the opt-in page is going to be a very simple landing page that is designed to capture their email address with, if you can read that, it's a little small, free content. Now, could also be paid content. That's what I like to do. I've sold tens of thousands of dollars of ebooks. And if you don't think ebooks sell, you know, why would anybody pay for an ebook? There's tons of free content out there. Tell that to Amazon, okay? Multi-billion-dollar organization. Ebooks are one of their top categories, and books in general. So if you want your opt-in page to have a sold product like an ebook, by all means, that's even better, because then you're recouping the ad costs that they use to click on the ad. So you can actually have your prospect clicking on ad costs if it's targeted very, very properly. And if you want to know a little bit more about what type of content to create to really get your ideal client excited about clicking on your ad and opting in, go ahead and watch the cold to sold video first, okay? So they start with an ad, they go to an opt-in page, they give up their email address in exchange for content, free or paid, okay? Once they opt in, they can do the HLS. Now that's what I call the hook, line, and sinker offer. HLS, hook, line, and sinker. This is an irresistible offer. They're going to learn from you. This is your chance to show your expertise, okay? This is free training with the intent to eliminate fear, all right? You're going to instill trust in them. You're going to show them that you are there to help. Of course, everybody knows you're going to be selling something. You're going to be honest with them up front. I'm selling something to you. Okay, I'm giving you a lot of free training, a lot of knowledge that if you want to go ahead and do this on your own, you can, but if you don't want to take the time or try to master the craft of these sales funnels, you can just hire me and my team to do that. I'm selling something, I'm being honest to you. The hook, line, and sinker does the same thing. It attracts them in with what you're selling them because they're your ideal client, and they're going to want what you're going to buy if you present it properly. So they go to the opt-in page, they get you get their email in exchange for content, and then you can present them. This could be something as a thank you page right after they submit their content, or it could just be something as simple as an email that's sent off to them with the offer that says, hey, watch this video for this free training on, whatever. Hey, for a pain point cycling video, all right? This is part of a hook, line, and sinker offer, all right? So if they opt into that, the next step would be to get them on a sales call. And again, the sales call, like I mentioned in the Cold to Sold program, you should be selling close to about 50%. It's okay, usually about 25%, but 50%, if you've mastered the art of bringing in your ideal client, you should be able to close 1 out of every 2 sales calls. And once that you're on that sales call, you're going to be bringing them in through the cooperative close, the CC, cooperative close. And again, to understand that process, you would watch the Cold to Sold program. I do explain that. There's various steps involved in the Cold to Sold program. And of course, once you sell them on the cooperative close, you go ahead and collect their funds and then start with the process of reason why they hired you in the first place. Now, in an ideal scenario, they click your ad, they go to an opt-in page, you give them the free training, they love what you have to say, they go to a sales calls, you use a tactic of cooperative close, and then you sell them. All those yeses, that's your ideal client, and that should represent about 5% from clicking on your ad all the way to collecting your money, signing a contract. That's about 5%. All that fantastic good stuff about creating free training, ebooks and content, and targeting your ideal client and adjusting your ads so they click on it. Even the best return is about 5% from what I've seen, and I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times for various consultants and coaches, okay? So 5%. Where does the rest of that 95% go? Well, you've heard the phrase before, the fortune is in the follow-up. This is where consultants mess up the most, okay? Usually, I know lots of consultants, they'll set up ads, they may work, they may not work, they'll bring in an opt-in page, they'll collect the email, and that's it. The rest of this doesn't exist. Well, they have my email, so now if they want to contact me, they can. They have my ebook, and if they find it interesting, they can email me. Believe it or not, most people who download your content, even if it's paid, won't even read it. In my experience, about 80 to 85% won't even read it. Some will skip, do the chapter headers and subtitles and whatnot. The people that do read it will be your ideal client, but ultimately, most people won't even read the content even if they pay for it, okay? How many ebooks have you downloaded and not read cover to cover, okay? So we've got to assume that only 5% are going to be going through this process. And by the way, I've skipped over this system. You should have the CRM system. I've skipped over this part. So if you're on the sales call and they don't want to buy right away, which is perfectly fine because if they've been through all of this, the chances are they're going to want to continue to talk to you. You just put them in a CRM system. And it doesn't have to be something expensive like Salesforce. Could be. There are lots of free or nearly free CRM systems that will be suitable just to be shuffling people through to get them back into the cooperative close. You can check out Insightly. That's one that I use. Infusionsoft is one that's kind of semi-popular right now. HubSpot is really popular if you're into creating lots of content. Fairly easy to use. Okay, so you want to get them in that CRM system to get them back into that cooperative close. So like I said earlier, only 50% about are going to be ready to be sold at that time, at that first sales call. So you're going to want to get them into a system where you can follow up with them with emails and calls on a regular basis. All of this represents 5%, okay? So 95% here is your fortune. That's in the follow-up. You spend all this time and money to get them into the system. You're going to want to follow up with the 95%. So let's say they get to the point with the opt-in page, okay? If they give you the content, if they give you your email in exchange for the content, they're going to go on to the next step. But they could just go to the page and say, you know what, I'm not ready for the content. I don't want to give up my email, whatever. That's common. It happens all the time. Then they go here. This is no. they go into retargeting CP. Now CP stands for contingency plan. That's all of this down. The contingency plan is hitting them with the same processes up here, but it's a different pain point. This is what consultants get wrong all the time. They will set up this really elaborate funnel and they'll pay this agency and there'll be all these circles and arrows and everything. Well, if they do this, then they do this. But it's hitting them with the same pain point over and over again that they didn't register for in the first place. So when you set up your entire funnel, that's why we call this pain point cycling. You want to get them in with what you think is the most obvious pain point that will capture them. And a lot of times for me, for consultants, it's revenue. They just want a full pipeline. That's their biggest pain point, okay? But if they don't respond to this pain point, I'm going to be hitting them with a different pain point. This is a contingency plan. Almost an identical funnel. You'll see these same steps as up here, but the entire process is based on a different pain point. So you have pain point 1 over here where you're hitting them with lots of content regarding one pain point. And then if they do not respond to that opt-in page, which has very specific pain point that they can learn how to solve through your writing, you move them to another pain point. So at this point, you're retargeting them. And what retargeting means is all they need to do is visit your page. You don't even have to give them, they don't even have to give you their email address, okay? When you hit retargeting code, any marketing specialist or even a web designer can be able to do this. Put in remarketing code from your ads. They will get targeted with different ads based on where they go over here. So imagine that they see various ads of you telling them that you can solve their pipeline problems. They can always have a full pipeline. And they say, okay, yeah, this looks really good. Oh, the ebook's $15, I don't want it. They never touch anything. They don't enter in any information, but the retargeting code is in there. And I've got them by their cookies on their computer, not cookies you eat. There's cookies on your computer. And now they're going to see these ads, but it's going to be a different pain point. All over here, instead of targeting them through whatever it is, revenue generation, full pipeline, I could target them through something else. Maybe it's finding A players to work for them. You know, that's another pain point for consultants, is getting good people to work for them. So I'm moving them from teaching them how to do a full pipeline to teaching them how to hire A players for the organizations. Okay, so now all the ads will focus on that. That's what retargeting is. They don't need to enter any information, and they're seeing different ads from you everywhere they go because you've cookied their computer, and that usually lasts between 60 and 90 days. Now, with this pivot point here, they can still enter their information and not go forward after your hook, line, and sinker offer, which is that part where you're giving them training and you're eliminating sales fear, okay? You're eliminating that fear for them to move forward into the actual call, but they still have your interest. They've already opted in. They may or may not have read your content, but now they've watched your video, they've taken all your free training, your webinar, whatever it may be, and they're not interested. Well, now you go back to the retargeting, but it's the same pain point. Okay, you're not bringing them to the contingency plan because they were interested in this to the point where they took training. So you bring them back to the retargeting code that got them interested in the first place. That's a big turning point right there. Now, another thing that happens in addition to retargeting, so they took all your training, they still decided not to call you, they're gonna be following up with you eventually because they're gonna keep seeing your ads. But at this time, you have them at retargeting and you have their information because they opted into the free content. So now you have this extra bonus of being able to follow up with them until they opt out. So you have in the note here, the engagement sequence. You want to bring them to 4 emails that are designed to entice them back to this free training to get more information, okay? So you're gonna be hitting them with an engagement sequence that gives them more training. This doesn't have to be something elaborate, just little snippets of something. I may break this very video up into 4 or 5 different training sequences and drip them out into a series of 4 emails, okay? If they respond to any one of those 4 emails, they go back into the pipeline, the main pipeline, where they're going through your hook, line, and sinker offer again, and eventually where they're gonna call. So if they still don't respond, so they have the free training, they went through the engagement sequence, they got 4 emails, you're gonna wanna send them at least 3 to 5, I like 4. Then if they don't respond to all of this, even through your engagement sequence, they go back to the contingency plan. You're hitting them with a different pain point, okay? Maybe they absorbed enough information, they just didn't want to go through the sales call. It's always not sometimes it's not the right time for somebody to call. Maybe they just saw your ad and they're interested in what you had to say, but it's just not the right time. But they go back into your contingency plan. Now they see you're an expert in something else, hiring A players, for example, for your organization. Okay, so that's how that whole system works. So now you have them going into your ad, they click the opt-in page, they either get retargeted with a different pain point or they take your training. If they take your training, they go into the drip email sequence where if they don't respond, they go back into a contingency plan, right? Where they go through this entire process again, which is the same as up here, it's just a different pain point, okay? So that takes care of the 95% of the people who do not respond along this yes, 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 all the way to the perfect ending where they collect your money. So, or where you collect their money and start the contract. So that's called pain point cycling. Now, you can try and replicate this on your own by all means. You have enough information here to go to any kind of drip system. You can just type in a drip system. There are lots of companies that do this. You can check out markethero.io. You can check out drip.co. But either, no matter what system you choose, you can set this up on your own. You have enough information here. Go back to my cold to sold video and learn about each of these processes and how to really capitalize. I've done, like I said, hundreds of reiterations of this, probably thousands. I know what converts on an opt-in page. I know what converts on hook, line, and sinker offers. And because I'm a certified neuromarketer, I understand how people respond each of these steps and what gets them to move forward bit by bit. What most consultants get wrong is they try to close them all at once. So there might be an ad, it brings them to an opt-in page and it's like, bam, here I am, sign up for my $100,000 consulting gig or mentor program or whatever it is. They do too much. This whole process takes them on little bitty trust steps all the way to the end, where by the time you get to the sales call, you don't even really need to sell them. That's actually a deceptive name, sales call, because they've already been through your training. They've already probably read your content at this point. You are not selling them. They have pretty much been sold to you already. This should be the easiest sales call you've ever been on if you do this process right. So enjoy the pain point cycling sales funnel. This works very, very well. I have several models of what works for consultants, and this one is probably the top, if not definitely in the top 2 different sales funnels to use to move a cold prospect all the way down to selling selling them on a contract. So hope this was very helpful. My name is Mike Volkin. For more information on me, go to mikevolkin.com. Thanks for watching.